It's been quite a bit since I wrapped up the X and Y alternate starters, and I have to thank you all for being really patient with me. But now that things have slowed down with Sword and Shield for the time being, I felt it was finally time to continue the alternate starter series. And today, we're kicking it back off with the best team for Sun and Moon, Decidueye Edition. Looking back at it, the Alola region was actually really good. I know plenty of people have given the games grief, myself included, but I really look back fondly on the time I spent in Alola and truly appreciate them now. Aside from how, I really enjoy the cast of characters in Alola. The Pokemon designs were all pretty top notch, and even the different areas to explore weren't really all that bad. Moving on from that though, it's time to talk about this best team because honestly it's a lot different from the original, and I think you all will get a kick at what I have in store for you. But before we hop into the team, let me go over what a best team is and how I determine that for all of you new to this series. A best team is a team of 6 Pokemon that is designed for the absolute best performance for its said Pokemon game. The team usually revolves around a best starter, but since we're using alternate starters this time around, this team will revolve around one of them instead, with this team focusing on Decidueye in Pokemon Sun and Moon. Each team member is assigned to do well against the trial captains, totem Pokemon, the kahunas, the Elite Four members, champion, rival, and the evil team leaders. In the end, we have a team that does well against all the most important battles in-game. When making this team, we do provide movesets for each of the Pokemon. We do include TM moves, but we do not allow egg moves nor post-game tutor moves. So now that you know how we do things in this series, I say we just hop right into this team. So starting off, we of course have our starter of choice being Decidueye. The good thing about the Decidueye line is that Rowlet and Dartrix are actually grass and flying type, which will really come in handy for some of these early battles. Rowlet will evolve into Dartrix at level 17, and then finally into the grass and ghost type Decidueye at level 34. Stats wise, Decidueye is decently well rounded, with its most notable stats being 107 attack and 100 special attack, as well as its 70 speed, which really isn't an impressive number itself, but it does make it the fastest of the Alola starter trio. It might not be the strongest when it comes to any of the attack stats, but I actually think being a really solid mixed attacker gives Decidueye different opportunities to shine compared to the others. With that being said though, let's hop into its moveset. The finalized moves we have for Decidueye are Spirit Shackle, Leaf Blade, U-Turn, and Brave Bird. Spirit Shackle is a move Decidueye will learn upon evolving from Dartrix. It's pretty much the best one-turn ghost type move it can get at 80 base power. Next up is Leaf Blade, which is the best physical grass type move Decidueye can get, and that can be learned at level 44. Naturally, you'll want to use the early grass moves this line can get until then. Alternatively, you can use Energy Ball if you want, and that team can be found in Lush Jungle. However, you will need Machamp Shove to access that area that has it. Next is our first coverage move, Low Sweep, and that team can be purchased at the Coney TM shop. You can really switch this move out for anything later on, but I think it's probably the most useful of the bunch. And then finally, we have Acrobatics, which is a really solid flying type move that will head for a solid 110 base power, as we don't run items on these teams. That team can be found on Tankarat Hill. You'll just need access to Tauros Ride. And of course, just use the earlier flying type moves available to the line before this. With these moves, Decidueye can do well against Hala's entire team in the Kahuna battle, Lana's team, Totem Wishiwashi, Mallow's team, Totem Morantis, Olivia's team in her Kahuna battle, but you'll have to be really careful of those rock type attacks, Totem Mimikyu if you have a ghost type move on Dartrix or have evolved into Decidueye at this point, Nanu's Krokorok and Persian, Hapu's Dugtrio, Gastrodon and Mudsdale, let's watch out for Sucker Punch on Dugtrio, Totem Komodo, Guzma's entire team, Faba's team, Lucimene's Zilligant, Miss Magius, Milotic, and Beware, Gladian's Weavile and Lucario, this be careful of Ishar and Night Slash, Hal's Raichu, Komala, and Primarina. Hala's entire Elite Four team, Olivia's entire Elite Four team, Ace Rolla's entire team is set up from Sableye, just be careful of those Ghost and Ice type moves. And finally, Professor Kukui's Lycanroc, Magnezone, Snorlax, and technically Incineroar, but that one is a really big risk. Yeah, Decidueye is no slouch by any means. It can put in some serious work and is definitely a starter to be proud of if you decide to choose it. Next up, we have a new member to the Best Team series, being Ribombee. To me, Ribombee is a very overlooked Pokemon, and I'm really shocked with myself that I didn't have it on the original Best Team or even the Ultra Sun and Moon Best Team. You first get Ribombee as a Cutiefly pretty early on Route 2. It later evolves into Ribombee at level 25. Ribombee has pretty decent stats all things considered, having a respectable 95 in its special attack stat, and then a whopping 124 in its speed stat. More often than not, Ribombee will be moving first and will be able to put a dent into whatever it's hitting. With that buff that bug types have gotten in recent years in addition to having that all-powerful fairy type as its secondary, Ribombee is going to be putting in some serious work for this team. Now onto the moves. It's pretty clear cut for Ribombee, having Bug Buzz, Quiver Dance, Dazzling Gleam, and Energy Ball. Bug Buzz is one of Ribombee's best options for a special bug move, and it can learn that shortly after evolving level 28. If you want, you can give it Pollen Puff, which is learned upon evolution. I just thought the chance to lower your opponent's special defense by a stage was a better secondary effect. Then to help give Ribombee a boost in later battles, we've also put on Quiver Dance. That move can be learned at level 49 and will really help Ribombee hit a bit harder while also being able to take a hit. Next is its fairy type coverage, being Dazzling Gleam, which can be learned at level 35. And then finally, for a little bit of extra coverage, we have Energy Ball. Energy Ball's TM can be obtained in Lush Jungle, but requires the use of Machamp Shove to get it. It's a pretty hard-hitting move and gives Ribombee a filled out moveset, so I think it's a nice addition. With these moves, Ribombee will be able to take on Totem Raticate and Moon, Hala's team in his Kahuna battle, technically Lana's team if you have Absorb on Ribombee, but it'll just be a slow process. That same reasoning also goes for Totem Wishiwashi, Malastini, Totem Morantis, Nanu's entire team, Hapu's Gastrodon, Flygon, and Mudsdale, just be careful of Heavy Slam, Totem Komodo, all of Faba's Pokemon except from Ladian, Lucamine's Logant, Milotic, and Beware, Gladion's Weavile, just be careful of Metal Claw, How's Raichu and Primarina, Hala's entire Elite Four team, Olivia's Elite Four team aside from Probopass, but I don't believe it's worth the risk, Acerola, Sableye, and Palossand, and finally Kukui's Lycanroc, if you want to play it a little risky. Yeah, for such a small little bug, Ribombee can take on quite a few threats, and is a very welcome member to the Best Team series. In the third slot of this team, we have our first returning member from the original Sun and Moon Best team, and that Pokemon is Jolteon. I wasn't sure about adding Jolteon at first, but after seeing this solid amount of water and flying types are up against an Alola, it was only obvious for it to make a return here. You can get yourself an Eevee in a few different places. The first being an egg at Paniolo Ranch, but if you'd rather go out and catch one yourself, you can run into an Eevee on Route 4 or 6. To evolve into Jolteon, naturally you'll need a Thunderstone, and you can find one of those on Route 8 behind a trailer. Jolteon might not be the most diverse Pokemon you could have in a team, but when you need a fast-hitting electric Pokemon, you can't go wrong with Jolteon. 110 special attack and 130 speed. Yeah, if you're weak to electric, you might not be leaving a battle unscathed. Now time to talk about its moveset. On Jolteon, we have Discharge, Volt Switch, Thunder Wave, and Shadow Ball. It's a pretty basic moveset, all things considered, but it gets the job done. Discharge will be your main attacking move, and that can be learned until level 37. Volt Switch is here as an option for you to quickly get Jolteon out of an unfavorable situation, and that TM can be obtained later on at the Hakulani Observatory. Thunder Wave is here to simply fill up a move slot, but can be pretty useful if you need to paralyze an annoying opponent. That move can be learned at level 33. Finally, for a bit of coverage, we have Shadow Ball. That TM can be found on a platform in the water on Route 14. And with these moves, Jolteon can do well against Totem Mimikyu, Plumeria's Golbat, Guzma's Golisopod and Masquerain, Faba's entire team, Lucamine's Mismagius and Milotic, Gladion's Crobat, How's Raichu and Primarina, Hala's Poliwrath, Olivia's Relicanth, Acerola's team is set from Sableye, Kahili's entire team, and finally Professor Kukui's Braviary. Jolteon might have a lot less it can cover against compared to some of the other Pokemon in this team, but it still plays a pretty vital role and is essential to this team in my opinion. Next up, we have our second returning member from the original Best team, being Alolan Dugtrio. It was actually a tough choice for me to choose between Dugtrio and Mudsdale from the Ultra Sun and Moon Best team, but ultimately I ended up going with Dugtrio simply for the stab steel coverage it can offer. But at the end of the day, either of them would be absolutely fine. So if you want to use Mudsdale, go right ahead. Back to Dugtrio though. You can find Diglett on Route 7 or in Diglett's Tunnel. It evolves into Dugtrio not long after capture at level 26. Not only is the ground and steel typing a killer combination, but it can really move fast and hit hard, having 100 base attack and 110 in speed. Many Pokemon will tremble at the sight of this Pokemon. So for its moves we have Earthquake, Iron Head, Rock Tomb earlier on, and then later followed by Stone Edge. And then we wrap it up with Aerial Ace. Earthquake is hands down the best ground type move pretty much any Pokemon can have. And luckily for Dugtrio, it learns it at level 47. Naturally, you'll just want to use both those before then, which can be learned at level 18. Iron Head is a bit of a long wait, being learned at level 41, but you do have the option of learning it at level 35 as a Diglett. The choice is yours. Next is Rock Tomb. That TM can be obtained in Wela Volcano Park. Then later on, you'll want to upgrade that to the much better Stone Edge. That TM can be purchased at the Seafolk Village Pokemon Center. Lastly, we have a little bit of coverage in Aerial Ace. That TM can be purchased at the Mile Pokemon Center. With these moves, Dugtrio can bulldoze its way through Kiawe's team, Totem Salazzle, Olivia's team in her Kahuna battle, Totem Vikavolt, Totem Mimikyu with Iron Head if you overleveled your Diglett, Hapu's Dugtrio, Plumeria's team, Guzma's entire team, Faba's Ladian, Lucamine's Clefable and Beware, Gladion's entire team is be careful of Aura Spear and multi-attack. How's Raichu and Flareon, Hala's Elite Four team, but it's a pretty big risk, Olivia's entire Elite Four team, Acerola's Drifloon, Delmice and Frostlass, Kahili's entire team aside from Skarmory, and finally, Professor Kukui's entire team aside from Snorlax. Dugtrio seems like a bit of a slow starter, despite that incredible speed, but it really shines towards the end of the game and is a very valuable member in my book. In the penultimate spot on this team, we have a returning member, but not from any of the Alola games. Here, we have the beastly, water and psychic Pokemon I love to use, being Starmie. In the original two teams, we had Primarina as our starter, so it's only natural that we wouldn't have another water type on the team. Well, clearly that's not the case with these alternate starter teams, so welcome on board Starmie. You can first get Staryu from fishing on Route 7 or on Hano Beach. Then you just need to get yourself a Water Stone from Route 8, and you'll be good to evolve right in the Starmie. With 100 base special attack and 115 speed, it's painfully obvious obvious to see why Starmie would make it on the team. With that being said, we're just going to move right into the moves. This moveset will be somewhat familiar, consisting of Scald, Ice Beam, Psychic, and Dazzling Gleam. Normally, we would have Thunderbolt on Starmie, but unfortunately that TM is post-game, so we went with the next best choice in Dazzling Gleam. Scald is our go-to water-type move that can even give a chance to burn the opponent's Pokemon. That TM can be obtained at Brooklet Hill. Next is our beloved Ice move that we cannot live without, Ice Beam. That TM can be found pretty late game on Mount Lanakila. And the third slot, we naturally have Psychic. You can get that as a level up move on Staryu, but you'll have it as a TM long before that, so just go with the TM. You can get that from Wick after defeating Nihilego. Last is Dazzling Gleam, which can be found later on in the vast Pony Canyon. With these moves, Starmie can do well against Kiawe's team, Totem Salazzle, Olivia's team in her Kahuna battle, Nena's Krokorok, just be careful with his dark type moves, Hoppy's Dugtrio and Mudsdale, Totem Komodo, Plumeria's team, Lucamine's Beware, Gladian's Crobat, Weavile, and Savalli, just be careful of Night Slash, House Flareon, Hala's entire Elite Four team, Olivia's Carbink, Golem, Probopass, and Lycanroc, Ace Roll's Drifblim, Delmice, and Palossand, just be careful, Kahili's entire team except from Skarmory, and finally Professor Kukui's Lycanroc, Braviary, and Incineroar. Once again, Starmie comes in pretty clutch, but I'm sure you all expected that as soon as you saw it would be on this team. And for our final Pokemon, we have a member that I didn't really expect to use, but a welcomed one no less. That Pokemon is none other than Talonflame. You can grab yourself a Fletchling in Whale of Volcano Park. Once leveled up to 17, you'll have yourself a Fletchinder, and then finally a Talonflame level 35. It has decent attack stats, but where Talonflame really shines is in its speed, showing off a beautiful 126. I could go on a bit more about Talonflame, but I'd say we just hop right into the moveset and finish this team off. Acrobatics, Flamethrower, U-Turn, and Stealing. I believe that is the best moveset for Talonflame to help you all out on your Alola adventure. As we already discussed, Acrobatics is such a solid move as it will have a nice 110 base power when the Pokemon using it doesn't have an item. And what do you know? Talonflame doesn't have one. The team for that can be found on Tenkarat Hill or Level 44. Next we have its fire coverage, Flamethrower. If you want to only stick to one attack stat, you can alternatively go for Flare Blitz, but I believe Flamethrower is the best route to go. That TM can be found in the vast Pony Canyon. Naturally, you'll just want to use other fire type moves until then. U-Turn is a solid coverage move for Talonflame that can also get out of sticky situations. That TM can be purchased at the Mile City Pokemon Center. Lastly, we have another coverage move in Steel Wing, and that TM can also be purchased at the Mile City Pokemon Center. With these moves, Talonflame can burn through Mallow's team, Totem Lurantis, Totem Vigavolt, Totem Mimikyu, Nena's Krokorok, and Persian with U-Turn, Hoppy's Dugtrio, but I wouldn't recommend it, Totem Komodo, Guzman's entire team is watch out for Razor Shell and Brick Break, Falba's Slowbro, Bruxitch and Hypno to watch out for Aqua Jet, Lucamine's Clefable, Lilligant and Beware, Gladian's Weavile and Lucario, Hal's Raichu, Hala's entire Elite Four team, Ace Roll's Delmice and Frostlass, Kahili's Skarmory, and finally, Professor Kukui's Ninetales and Magnezone. What can I say? Talonflame this really helps putting a hurt on a lot of the residents of Alola, and I was very happy I was able to add it onto this first alternate starter best team. Well, that's going to about do it for this first Alola alternative starter team. Over the years, I have learned a lot about building teams from both repetition and taking advice from all of you in the comments. I think this is one of the more solid teams I've built, and I'm very proud of it. What do you guys all think though? Did you think I nailed it, or are there some changes you would make? Be sure to let me know down in the comments below like always. If you enjoyed the video, why not leave a like and subscribe to my channel with notifications on, that way you never miss an upload. If you want to support me further, consider following my Twitch where I stream a lot of Pokemon content and all kinds of other Nintendo content like Zelda, Fire Emblem, and much more. Also, I've been reviewing every episode of My Hero Academia Season 4 over on Mystic Sage, so head over there if you're into that too. I would love that a lot. Want to support me further and gain cool perks? Check out my Patreon. Daniel Leone, Lady Crimson, Memory Martin, The Lazy Leo, Matthew Young, Awesome Lego, Jarrett Weiss Austin, Sodden Grider, Nigma97, and Kermit117 did, and I want to thank them personally for going above and beyond. It means the world to me. I think I'm wrap this up though. I'm Mr. Gumbrand, and I will see you in the future for more awesome Pokemon content.